Okay.
All right, happy Thursday, May 30th, everybody. Welcome to How to Master LinkedIn. We hope you're doing well wherever you may be on this pleasant day on planet Earth with our global audience. My name is Albert of Albert's List. We're a job search community headquartered in the San Francisco Bay Area, but helping professionals like yourself gain that edge in this ever-growing competitive market. With me today is Jonai Iqbal. He is the founder of No Degree, a company helping people land their next job without having to have a college degree, and he is a career coach and business coach, as well as being a LinkedIn top voice. And he's here today to talk to us about LinkedIn, how to use LinkedIn for both business and your career, and some of the things that you may have not considered as you think about mastering this platform for either your business or your professional purposes. Well, actually, both are business or your career purposes. So without further ado, Joe Knight, I'm going to hand it over to you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Sarai said my voice is too low. Is it a little better now? I increased my gain and I'm speaking more into the mic. So let me know if my. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for giving me that feedback. Here to do it. So yeah, let me share some backgrounds. So as Albert said, I'm the founder of NoDegree.com. I help people without college degrees find jobs. I've done resumes for people of all backgrounds, whether from high school all the way to C-suite, people with degrees, people with PhDs, and people without degrees. I host something called a No Degree podcast, where I interview people without college degrees and have them share their stories. So if any of you want to check that out, feel free to check that out. So why should you listen to me? Here's some background. I have 43,000 followers on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to drop my link in the chat.
Share your
I've
screen,
been,
Joe Knight.
I'm not sharing my screen.
Not
Okay.
sharing your
So
screen yet.
Okay. So let me share this. Let me share my screen. So why should you listen to me? So I'm the I have 300 over 300 recommendations at the bottom of my profile where I've helped clients with their resumes and LinkedIn. And because I helped so many people, I've gotten key insights because I get feedback from my clients. So over the years, I've tweaked things and learned a lot more about LinkedIn. I made the Favicon top 200 creators in the world on LinkedIn in 2021. And my clients have secured jobs at Google, Microsoft, Amazon, the UN, Goldman Sachs, and all these types of companies. So here to kind of share with you why LinkedIn is important and some of the things that you need to do. So today we're going to cover like LinkedIn overview, ways to master LinkedIn, a course that Albert and I are working on, and some Q&A towards the end. Now, LinkedIn. We got to really cover some of the stats. Why would you use LinkedIn? I know some people are hesitant to use LinkedIn. What are the benefits and some final tips and takeaways? So here's some stats on LinkedIn, and some of these will surprise you. So LinkedIn has over 1 billion users. A lot of the users are between India and the United States. There are 49 million users are actively looking for jobs, and about 16.2% are active on the platform daily. So if you are one of those that actually takes it seriously and you're active, you'll do better than your competition. Simple fact. Recruiters have access to tools and they sometimes will choose whether or not to message you based on your activity. Because, again, if you're not active, why would a recruiter message you if you're not checking your messages? Most of the users are between 25 and 34, so which gives it a more tech heavy, just tech savvy user. Only 2% of the user are 55 or older, so it's not like Facebook where you'll have a lot of old people sharing memes. Though some of that is happening, you tend to get a more serious workforce who is looking to elevate themselves. Now, LinkedIn in 2022 was a crazy year. They had an 80%, 88% increase in hires from people on the platform. And 75% of job seekers say they use LinkedIn to find jobs. So if you're not using LinkedIn, you're missing out. And yeah, so if you can't click, feel free to copy and paste. Now, I have worked in recruiting. I have worked on both sides. And yes, I will share the webinar. I have worked in recruiting. I have worked on the career side. So I've seen both. And I've done a lot of resumes for recruiters. LinkedIn is one of the top sourcing and recruiting tools that recruiters use, right? When I had a search, I would use LinkedIn Recruiter. That's how I would do my search. And a lot of entry level recruiters will use that. Even a lot of Um, cool. So if Albert, feel free to handle that. If any of you have any issues, we can probably figure something out. So LinkedIn, again, it's one of the top recruiting tools. And no, and look, Steve, I'm not saying that just because someone is over 55 doesn't mean they're not a job seeker. What I want to say is some platforms, there are more people who are retired over 55. So they may use the platform differently. But if you are over 55, I would highly encourage someone to use LinkedIn because since there are not that many people over 55 on LinkedIn, if you are there, you will stand out. Just realize that. Um, so yeah, just realize that people of all ages work and all that. And Albert will send you the webinar. So let's go into this. So Indeed and LinkedIn are the most active used sites, and LinkedIn has really caught up. So 62% of job seekers use Indeed, 57% use LinkedIn. Now, one of the things that's going to change that influences that stat is that Indeed has a lot of jobs that don't exist on LinkedIn. A lot of retail jobs, a lot of warehouse jobs, and all that. LinkedIn tends to focus on a white collar workforce. So more tech jobs, more market jobs, more corporate jobs. Now, if you see the next levels are ZipRecruiter, Career Builder, Monster, Glassdoor, but those don't have profiles in the same capacity, even though they can be used to source, they're not the same. And sometimes recruiters use them for more niche roles. So again, if you optimize your LinkedIn profile and you do the right things, it will change how you approach things. So what are some ways to master LinkedIn? There are two ways, right? You can use it for business and your personal brand. So here's some things. It's a top platform for B2B leads. So B2B stands for business to business. A lot of B2B buyers, they use LinkedIn is their top marketing channel. They tend to get more qualified leads. It tends to not be like other platforms that will have all types of users that are not as serious of a buyer. Like think about it. If you're networking on a platform like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you will get a lot of people under 18 who are not serious, and then you'll get a lot of people who are out of the workforce. So, and think about it, sourcing on TikTok. How is a recruiter going to source on TikTok? Those other platforms are much harder to source from. Um, TikTok sometimes you have to know how to really search on it. Twitter has a terrible search function, so it's really hard to find someone. So that's something else. It is one of the top platform for organic results. So for example, LinkedIn has very good organic reach compared to other platforms because LinkedIn as a platform makes its money in a different way. LinkedIn makes its money through recruiters paying for seats. A recruiter license can be anywhere from 150 a month to over 1,000 a month, depending on the plan. And companies that have 10 to 20 plus recruiters, right? They're paying 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 a month to LinkedIn. So they already make their money off that. They make some money off premium accounts and through the LinkedIn learning platforms. So LinkedIn is in a unique position compared to other platforms. Where other platforms need ads to make money, LinkedIn does not need ads. It has ads, but that's not its biggest source of revenue. The other thing is if you have a business or personal brand, there is less competition. Something about 0.5% or 1% of job seekers or 1% of users actually post content. And I've seen people firsthand get jobs because of the content they post. Now, you don't necessarily need to create content, but it is definitely something that adds a totally different dimension. The other thing is, as a business, think about this. If you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, you're on these other platforms, you're an accountant, can you do well? Sure, or your whatever business, can you do well? Sure. However, on LinkedIn, you're competing with a lot of people who tend to not be as good as content. The competition and the quality of content on LinkedIn is not as high. If you want to do well on YouTube, you have to have edits, you have to have an editor and all that. A lot of people on Twitter, right? The top Twitter accounts, they tend to be copywriters or they have copywriting people on the team. LinkedIn, even knowing the fundamentals of copywriting, the fundamentals of marketing, get you really far. So that's one thing on LinkedIn. And you'll see there are people who succeed on LinkedIn who don't succeed on anywhere else because they're not that good. So once you learn a couple of things about LinkedIn, you will, can do a lot. And what sort of learning opportunity? So learning is people when they pay for premium, you get a LinkedIn Learning account. So some people will purchase LinkedIn Premium to get access to LinkedIn Learning. So that's what I mentioned. Learning opportunities does. So I meant LinkedIn Learning. That's the actual platform on LinkedIn. So that's kind of where they that drives some of the premium memberships. I hope that answers your question. the other thing I'll say, LinkedIn is very, very good for networking. I've networked through LinkedIn, I've networked through Twitter, I've networked through Instagram, I networked through TikTok. LinkedIn is a very strong place to network from. I have connections that I've from 2019 that I've met in person. I have over 1,000. I've met over 1,000 of my connections on LinkedIn. I'm actually hosting a network event in New York City next week, and I'm meeting some of my connections for the first time. So LinkedIn is very powerful because people tend to come for more professional reasons. So when you're networking, you tend to meet a higher quality of user. I've been invited to a lot of conferences. LinkedIn, now I'm at a point that at every city I go to, I have someone that I can meet, right? And it's so amazing that I went to Bentonville, Arkansas, and I met 4 or 5 of my connections that I've never met before, right? And they took me to barbecue, showed me around, I got to see it. And that's the power of LinkedIn, that regardless of where you go in the world, that you can meet solid connections. That I have friends in the UK, I have friends in South America, and these are true friends, right? And they've given me business and opportunity. So LinkedIn is one of those things that you can meet so many people. And the beauty of LinkedIn networking is that people can see your work history, people can see what you're about, they can see your mutual connections. In addition, you can also find people at your target companies that I have gotten much closer to securing opportunities at companies that I would normally never get even a shot at because of someone I met. Someone I met on LinkedIn who I had dinner with actually last week. He is going to give me an intro to a VP at Google who is the founder of a certain group at Google that I've been trying to sort of break into. So that's the power of networking on LinkedIn, that you'll meet a lot of great people, and a lot of great people will also find you through these things. The other thing that I want to say is personal brand will open up opportunities. Just like I mentioned, I've been able to get in rooms with certain people. There's a job that I'm actually applying to today, um, that I had the CEO reach out to me on my podcast, and it was a coincidence because I was looking at this job and I was like, hey, you know what? I don't necessarily meet all the qualifications, but I know I'd be really good at this job. So I'm actually interviewing him tomorrow. And again, he found me because of LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is very searchable. You pop up on Google. You can be found for so many things. And Christopher Benjamin, I'll accept any requests. Um, so I'll actually accept it right now. So thank you for sending that. And also just be mindful. People make this mistake all the time. You have to make sure you actually send a request. Don't choose to follow. If you want to follow me, cool. But if you want to actually connect, feel free to send the connect button, and all that. So, and Albert, if you want to ever jump in, I'm more than happy to, feel free to jump in and add anything. So let's talk about why LinkedIn is more important than ever. So the job market in 2024 is so brutal. I interviewed at an ATS company. ATS stands for Applicant Tracking System, and I had an assignment. And in that assignment, they had data of how many people were applying. So 3 to 6 times more people were applying in 2024 than in 2020 and 2021. So for example, they were getting maybe 30 to 90 applicants per job. Now they're getting 100 to 300 to 500. So that's what happens. And these are just startups, right? Small companies that don't necessarily have big budgets, that aren't well known. Large companies can get 6 to 20 times more applicants. That at some companies, if you don't even have a referral, it's like a very long shot. Not that you can't get in, it's just much tougher. And some of these roles that I've gotten referrals for, because I had inside info, they're like, hey, they already have someone that the job is going into is meant for internal transfer. So you want to make sure that you increase the amount of opportunities, right? That if you're standing out from the noise, that a lot of recruiters sometimes they don't even want to post a job on LinkedIn because they know if they post it, they're going to get so many irrelevant applications. 30 to 90% of people who apply for jobs are not even qualified. Now, that's going to depend on the type of role, what company. But, I have a friend who's a recruiter. He had 297 applicants on the job. He said 0 were qualified. It was a project manager job. Now, why? Because he was looking for a construction project manager and he had 297 IT project managers apply. So that's the reality of recruiting, that a lot of times there's just so many people who apply who aren't qualified. Sometimes it's people who are not necessarily in the country. Like if you're in the US or Canada, sometimes they need someone who's, even for a remote job, they need someone who's located in the country for compliance, security, tax reasons, benefits reasons, company policy, and all that. So they can't even look at a lot of candidates. So being active on LinkedIn is sometimes how recruiters will source. Now, traditional networking is not enough. Traditional networking, what I would say is like in this year, I've gotten the most amount of EVP, SVP, and C-suite candidates who are looking for jobs, who are reaching out to me. Normally in other markets, they don't reach out. They have a good network. But what they're telling me is, hey, my network doesn't have anything for me, and my network is worried about them losing their jobs. So most of the time, people rely on this inner circle. In this market, what I'm seeing is more than ever, people have to go outside that circle. They have to reach out to more. They have to get out. They have to meet someone new. And LinkedIn is one of those platforms that makes it easy. Um, so so cover letter, I'm more than happy to answer that. So here's my thing on a cover letter. A lot of people don't read cover letters. I've done a lot of resumes for executive. They refuse to write one. They refuse to read it. They're like, hey, I'm way too busy. About only 10 to 20% of people read cover letters. If I were to write a cover letter, I would only write it for, I would generally be mindful of writing it for nonprofits or startups. Again, if you really like the job. I just don't want you writing 20 cover letters a day. That's just exhausting, takes a lot of time. Cover letter, I say keep it short and sweet. So many people write cover letters that say, hey, ever since I was 2 years old, I was a product manager. Just go straight to the point. Here's my background, here's my highlights, here's what sets me apart. Add a dash of personality, show that you read the job description, and show that you did a little research on the company. Too many people use straight ChatGPT cover letters, and I'm seeing people posting about the fact that they get multiple of the same cover letter. So yes, you can use ChatGPT. Don't use it to write the whole cover letter. I tell people if you're going to use it, maybe use it to write a sentence or two. So that way it still blends in with what you're actually writing. Too many people, again, if you're just going to use ChatGPT for a cover letter, skip it and just apply directly. Hopefully that's valuable. And um, yeah, LinkedIn Premium, again, it's one of those things. If you use it and you're active, I do think it's helpful. However, you can still get a lot of benefit without. I will say that LinkedIn prior prior to this year, it wasn't as valuable because you could get a lot, but now LinkedIn has put on a restriction. There's a limited number of connection requests with notes, and that can really make a difference, right? Um, yeah. So unfortunately, you're absolutely right that someone said that they get robotic invites each day. So look, this is just the general thing of a platform, right? As it gets bigger, more people come, there's more automation. LinkedIn is doing its best to try to stop it, but people get around it. But one thing that I'll tell you is under the surface is still pretty good. Um, I used to get a lot more automatic invites, but once you understand how to filter these profiles, you can just deny it and focus on the real profiles. So let me just go into recruiter like overviews. Most recruiters are recruiting for 10 to 20 plus roles at the same time. Some recruiters are recruiting for 20 plus, so 20, 30, 40 recs at the same time. Now, think about this. You're recruiting for 20 jobs. You have to get 3 to 4 interviews. That means you have to coordinate like 60 to 80 interviews, right? And that's what makes a recruiter's job hard, right? Just trying to coordinate all this. And then here's the reality. When I worked as a recruiter, I sent out 100 messages. I got 5 responses. All 5 were not interested. All right, LinkedIn Recruiter, you have a limited number of InMail. Now, depending on the plan, some plans have a lot more depending on the enterprise, but recruiters are incentivized to message people who meet their target profile and who are active. So by being active on LinkedIn, you're more likely to get a response. And there are some subtle things they can check. LinkedIn gives tools to see whether or not you've answered messages in the past, and that can impact whether or not a recruiter sends a message in the future. So, and all that. So cool. Let me go to the next slide. Things you need to do on LinkedIn, right? You'd be surprised at how many people have not filled out their profile. And filling out a profile, you have to really think, who is your ideal audience? Are you in for business? Are you trying to get a marketing job? Are you trying to get a tech job? Are you trying to get a writing job? Are you trying to get an operations job? You have to make sure that your profile speaks to that audience that if they come across your profile, that they say, hey, Ross is the person that I want to hire. Ross is someone I need to talk to. Ross meets the qualifications. Or, hey, Albert has the experience I'm looking for. Albert works for a competitor. So these are things that make a big difference. One thing you have to realize is you're also competing with people at your current company for recruiting, right? Because when I'm sourcing, sometimes I'm searching by company, sometimes I'm searching by title, sometimes I'm searching for a mix of things. And once you understand how these things work, it gives you a better idea of how you need to optimize your profile and what you need to do. Now, the other thing that I would say is creating content is a great way to increase your brand and thought leadership. I created a post today about an event. It reignited some of my network. I'm gonna meet them in person. I'm gonna actually be on a panel. I was able to collaborate with someone to be on the panel. And these are things that happen purely because of LinkedIn. I've never met that person before. They've interacted with my post. I've interacted with their post, and we've been in New York City. A lot of you I know, really busy. You're trying to do a lot of things, and oftentimes it's sometimes hard to even meet people in your city. So LinkedIn just offers an opportunity to sort of bring things together, collaborate on things that lead to just whatever, right? And the more things you do, the more collaborations you have, the more opportunity that it leads to. Now, LinkedIn has something called creator mode where you can get access to more analytics, you get a featured section and all that. That makes a difference. And if you know how to use it, you can really set yourself apart from other profiles. Now, hashtags, right? That's a little, do you use hashtags? Should you not? How do you go about it? How do you maximize it? So hashtags can change things and help you connect with the right people and help the right people find your content. I've had some people find my content through hashtags. Now, premium, it's like, do you need it? You can get away without it. But I'm seeing more and more, especially as a business owner, premium is having a lot more benefit because there's so much more nuance in premium. But again, I want to make sure I know some of you are on a budget. It's important that you can do a lot for free. So that's one benefit that even free as a platform, it's still you get so much out of it. The other thing you need to really do is you need to find organic communities. I know a lot of people talk about groups. Groups, unfortunately, some groups are really good, but a lot of them are not active, and LinkedIn as a company hasn't prioritized them. But you can find organic communities that I'm just organically just by interacting. I'm in the recruiting community, I'm in some startup communities, and these are people who interact with me on a regular basis. And I've hopped on calls with them. They've given me intros, they've connected me with the right person. The other thing you need to do is a lot of you are getting these generic robo invites, these chat GPT. It's so bad. I will tell you, I get so many of the same intro messages. It's clear that they watch some video. Some of them tend to come from certain locations, and I've seen the same message over 10 times. So the fact is this, if you want to stand out, you got to make sure that you send a message that is a little different, that shows that you spent some time. Just to kind of show you. So hashtags can get a little complex. So I'm not gonna go crazy detail now. But in general, what I will tell you is don't do too many hashtags. It's kind of a waste of time. And then also make sure it's something that someone would actually search. I know sometimes people will put business with like three S's and choose something that someone would actually search. And so let me actually share. So some of you have just sent me, but I'm gonna tell you like this is my inbox. I have 192 and I clear it. Like, it's just this person's gonna sell me, this person's gonna sell me. Maybe, hey, before you delete, I want to let you know I'm an exited founder. I also help any interest. And again, this one is like again, nothing about not customized. Look at this. In a market like this, good to be connected. It's kind of like I know he sends this to everybody, and he said there's no sales pitch. It's gonna be, hey, he just wants to grow his network. But this is the reality. Um, these people are just, everybody's trying to sell you things. This guy's trying to sell me things, and it's like, trust me, I get pitch slapped all the time, and you see a lot don't send. Um, Expanding my professional network, and it's like, hey, look, does it make sense? So you really have to think. So many people get connections. Why would they accept you? And look at this. Hey, Junaid. I really want to connect. As such, I've decided not to send you the generic LinkedIn invite. Um, I'm pretty sure if I search this in my inbox, uh, generic LinkedIn inbox is not that good at search. So, but yeah, so I thought, as such, I've decided not to send you the generic invite. So this is something I've gotten many times. So it's like, trust me, you don't want to be so formulaic. This is something that happens so much. And I've gotten this at least 5 to 10 times because they're watching some guru on YouTube and all that. And the principle makes sense. But the thing is, a lot of people are doing the same things that you do. You want to make sure that you actually do things that set you apart, that show that, hey, it's not generic. Because someone like me, it's not going to work. And just I always tell people, assume that the person is super busy, that they have gotten a lot of messages. Why are they going to connect to your one? And all that. Let me just check the Q&A. Um, done. Cool. Awesome. So Q&A is out. Now, the other thing that I would say, networking. LinkedIn is the best networking platform, hands down. Um, I've used a lot of things to network. Not that you can't use it, but LinkedIn is the easiest. That's something that you could really just do well on, and something that has longevity. A lot of platforms sometimes they change, right? Like Twitter has a very interesting future. We don't know where it's going to go. Some people have actually left the platform, but people are going to be on LinkedIn, and sometimes it's much easier to catch people on LinkedIn than other platforms. I just showed you how the inbox of a busy person. I get hit up all the time, and the fact is, unless someone is like going to be a client, someone at least has interacted with me with some way, or someone's my ideal person who I can actually benefit. I don't need to connect with another financial advisor. I don't need to connect with another accountant who's going to try to sell me things, or a website designer. The fact is, I've connected with so many of those that they haven't really added value. So you have to make sure that you come across as someone who's actually going to add value and be a decent addition to the person's network. The other thing that, there's a lot is, that we're going to share eventually in the course is like mistakes you need to avoid. Like, I just showed you, like, hey, don't send those generic invites. Don't do the things that like are commonly done. Because the reality is some people are well intentioned, but you have to really put yourself in the other person's shoes. This is a person that's probably been sold to, probably is annoyed, it has been annoyed by these things. You want to make sure you come across as a way as like, hey, I'm a little different. Now, how often should you post? So this is a very interesting question. And as always, it depends. Now, you want to make sure that you post in a way that's sustainable for you. Posting, the more you post, you will be better off, but sometimes it's not sustainable. I always say choose a sustainable amount that you can actively create content, that you can respond to all the comments, and that you can truly build a relationship. I've seen some people post like 5 times a day, and honestly, this is not Twitter. It's really hard to keep up with. So, try to do what you can. I say even like something like 2 to 3 times a week is enough, but make sure it's about quality. Because if you do 5 posts but they're not quality, doesn't matter. You could do 1 post a week that's quality, and then you get the right person in your inbox. And I love that line. Life is pain, highness. Anyone who says differently is selling something, and that is very true. Um, what should be the appropriate message for job networking? So this is going to depend. What job are you looking for? What's your background? How big the company is? Is it a startup? Is it a nonprofit? Who are you messaging? Are you messaging a recruiter? Are you messaging a hiring manager? Are you messaging a teammate? You're going to have to approach each of those differently because you can't, not everyone is involved in hiring the same way. Some people you need to get info from. Some people you need to get a referral from. Some people actually say that last phrase again, life is pain. It is pain. But we want to make it a little better so that it's not always pain. Um, so yeah, so I hope that's helpful. But there's a lot of nuance because I try not to teach cookie cutter things because cookie cutter things get cookie cutter results. That's just reality. A lot of people are trying to sell cookie cutter things, and if it worked, what's gonna happen is you're gonna end up in someone's inbox and it's like, hey, I see through this. And I have people do it and I'll counter them and they're not sure what they want to do, right? And I've seen it all, so I want to make sure that all of you don't make the mistakes that the people who landed in my inbox do. And I know Albert, what are some like common things? Like you work at a big company. What are some things that you get that you just nod your head and you just shake your head?
Gosh, yeah. So, it's everybody's got an enterprise software solution they want to sell. Everybody's attached to, a Fortune 500 as an agency of record, and they want me to work with them. And it's nice. Some of them are like, "I'll give you a Yeti tumbler for it, or I'll give you $10 on a Starbucks gift card." And some days when I'm feeling good about it, maybe I'll bite. But other than that, I'm like, "Oh, so the fine print says I probably have to buy something. Yeah, maybe not."
Yeah, and let me ask you, how many of them truly have done their research and truly understand the problems you face?
I don't think a lot of them do because it's copying and pasting, right? We've all been
Yeah,
there where it's like you literally just change the dear so and so line and
yeah.
maybe you add a few different words there. But other than that, it's just not working the way that you anticipate to work it.
I
So,
have a question. Do they spell your name wrong?
you know what? No, I've never had that happen. But, the perfect way to test whether somebody is automating their LinkedIn outreach to you is to put an emoji at the front of your
Yeah,
name just to see whether it's there. So, like, if you end up putting like a rocket emoji and they address you as a rocket emoji, then there's some shenanigans going on.
yeah. You know what's funny? I'm gonna tell you, for me, and a lot of you who have, yeah, I could tell, Sarai, mine, oh my God, all the time. And I'll just call him out. I was like, hey, you spelled my name wrong. And they'll, look, sometimes I'll see people,
Hey,
they'll
you
spell
and
it
I
wrong.
both have names where U's don't follow Q. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
last name, they don't even, I'm just saying first name, they just get it wrong all the time. And, that's the reality. That's why it's like, if you do it right, you'll stand out and you'll actually get the conversation. And what posting means, I mean, actually an original content post where you do it, not a repost, not a share or anything like that. Commenting on other posts is a good strategy, but I don't consider that posting, but it is a great networking tool. You'd be surprised. There are some people I know who don't even post, who do a lot of comments, and they make a lot of friends, get the right conversations, and those conversations lead to opportunity. Um, yeah,
So even you could just develop a commenting strategy. Who needs LinkedIn a content creator when you just need to find the right people to say hi to?
look, let me tell you, on every platform, comments go a long way. People
Yeah.
appreciate it. You can get a conversation. You can catch up. And the beauty is, other people see your comments. I think sometimes like people see my comments and it'll lead to conversation. I'll get connections off of that. The other thing that I want to say is LinkedIn also is a platform that if you use it right, you can take your relationship to the next level, right? Like we've been interacting for years. I think
Oh
we were
yeah.
connected for years, and through that, it's like Albert
You
doesn't
do
post too much
uh
on
you do
LinkedIn.
our 8-week boot camps and
Yeah,
we visited in New York and we've gotten tacos in Queens.
yeah. And funny thing is, it's like I comment on your stuff. I'll comment and like on
Yeah.
your stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's one of those things that LinkedIn is very good at. If you know what to do, it makes it easy to really take a relationship to the next level. Because here's the reality. It's not like you meet someone at Google and they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna give you a referral," because trust me, they're getting blasted by so many people. A lot of companies say, "Oh, this is just find someone at Google." Oftentimes, you have to build these relationships. All right. The reason I've been able to get these referrals, sometimes I've known these people well before they're at the company. So you want to be one of those people that keeps in contact and you're there before the person even gets the role, so that because once they get the role, they just get hit up by so many people, and you don't want to be one of those people. Do you have a shot? Sure. Is it a high shot? Probably not. And yes, when you see a really good post, comment intelligently, repost. You'd be surprised. I know who reposts my stuff, and I look at it and I engage with it, and sometimes it leads to amazing things. So, Mark, thank you for that wonderful comment. I appreciate that. But yeah, commenting, I'm going to tell you, I've commented on Twitter. It's led to a lot of things. I've commented even on TikTok. It leads to things. But you really want to take your networking to the next level, and that's something that we'll cover in the boot camp. But I'll just spend one session on just networking, and you'd be surprised. Like I've been networking actively for like 10 plus years. Quit my job in 2018. Been Had two jobs that I got through networking. I got fired from both of them. I should have done better. That was my fault. But I'm still on good terms with both bosses, which is good. So that's something else. So some other thing I want to really touch is like content. Oftentimes it's like what's the hardest part about content is like how do you start? How do you create that first post? And I think too many people they get you know, do they former bosses? My former boss likes so my former boss is not on LinkedIn as much. He's on Twitter. He likes my stuff on Twitter. So the other one, yeah, the other one will still like my stuff on LinkedIn and I like his stuff. It's good. I kept it professional. Now, how do you start? And then once you start, how do you increase reach? I've seen some people they start, they get no traction, right? Because yes, starting is one of the hardest, but then how do you create good content? How do you do that stuff so that you actually stand out and then people want to interact? Um, and you know what's interesting? Yes, rumor has it young people view it as an old person's app. But let me tell you, when I was young, I was also stupid. And so what I always tell people is you don't ever want to view an app as an old person app or a young person app. You want to use the app for what you can. So even on Twitter, Twitter is known for people fighting and all that. I got my job off a tweet, one of my jobs. My boss saw it and I got an interview and knocked the interview out the park. So every platform has community. It's all about how you use it. And the fact is, it's that if recruiters are using it to source, where else are these people gonna go? So you want to make sure you maximize opportunity. And LinkedIn has a strong market advantage, has a competitive advantage because LinkedIn started in like 2003, 2004, and it's developed this network and it really grew when Microsoft acquired it in 2018. And since then, they've done a lot of things and they've gotten a lot of resources. Um, I believe you can link a post from personal profile to group. Group, again, depends on the group, how strong that group is. I'm in some groups, but honestly, like the power of groups has, like LinkedIn hasn't really done much with groups. So I don't really use it. And the strategies I share don't really focus on it, but you can still use it. Um, yeah. So, and groups has, again, it's one of those things you can still use, but it's lost the power that it once had. And, again, you can still use it, but you want to find strategic groups that focus on your industry. Those are the ones that you can, really do well on. Now, one thing that I teach is the algorithm is always changing, right? I've seen people get 50 to 90% decreases in their reach because they tried to game the algorithm. The fact is that people will try to game the algorithm. LinkedIn will do things to change it. There was a time polls did well. There was a time videos did well. There was a time carousels did well. There was a time text only. So it's like, you want to make sure that you have a strategy that's timeless, that regardless of platform, that regardless of the algorithm, you'll still do well. And if you focus on the long term and you build connection and you focus on community, you will be algorithm proof and do well regardless of the algorithm. Um, yeah. And again, you have to choose a focus group. Um, yeah, like unfortunately, there are way too many posts that people repeat it. I think there are people who repost these other viral posts, just realize that they won't really do much other than get you a lot of viewers from who aren't serious and who aren't necessarily going to help you do anything. So you want to be strategic because sometimes people focus on getting a lot of likes, a lot of views. It's about getting quality views and getting the right views. And then it's like you want to generate the right conversations. There are posts I could do that are going to do, like, I could be like, hey, recruiters suck, blah, blah. That's going to get a lot of likes. But who's it going to get? Is it going to get a potential employer? Is it going to get someone who's going to give me an opportunity? No, it's going to get me some other job seekers who also feel the same way, who don't have anything for me. So you want to be strategic about generating the right conversations with the right people. Once you do that, the right people, the right conversations will lead you to the right opportunity. And yes, I am happy to announce. So, you have fun with it. I should do a joke post. I'm happy to announce. And Albert is perfectly right. Sometimes you get 10 likes, 10K likes, $0. I've seen people get like 5 likes, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 deals. So you have to make sure that at the end of the day, it furthers you to your goal. And, I'm not here to teach vanity. to get a lot of likes. I'm here to help you be strategic, increase reach to the right people, and increase engagement with the right people. So you build a community, so you build a community and network, because those are the most powerful things there is. And yeah, so many people just generate posts, and I've had LinkedIn like generate posts. Their AI is not good for that, so it's like I don't recommend it. Um, so it's all about getting the right person. So now, another thing, what are the benefits of profile optimization? You will appear in more search results. So one thing I'll share with you is a good profile will be like this. So this is what you care. And I appear in somewhere between 300 to 1200. So it's like, where, let's kind of check this live. So it's like recruiter, host, executive recruiter, investor, product manager, plus career coach. So hey, these are things that I'm happy I'm finding for. Um, here's where my searchers work. So okay, cool. You know, that's nice. So that's something that you want to do, you want to consider. You want to make sure that you appeal to recruiters, that when a recruiter comes to you, they see that you have the right experience. Again, your headline, is it communicating the right things? Is it searchable? Do they know because the headline entices someone to click on your profile. So what makes a good headline? What makes a bad headline? What turns people off? Oh, the screen that I just showed? Oh, that's my screen. So this is when I went here. Oh, so someone wants to see it. So I go view profile. Then I will go to search appearances, private to me, and then you see job titles and all that. So, and then you can see posts. I've been kind of lazy with my posts. Since I've been so active on LinkedIn, I get a lot of DMs even without creating any content, just because I have a long history. So, you can check like past 365 days, and then it'll refresh. For some reason, LinkedIn sometimes, I got like 1.3 million views. I used to get a lot more, but LinkedIn has kind of changed these things. But you see, it's like 434,000 unique views, which is cool. So this one got, it kind of shows like which are the highest performing ones. I like to joke around, have fun with things and all that. So Steve, I hope this kind of helped, but you can kind of see like your trends, like, how, I'm checking my stats and it's like, hey, I had a big bump over here. I must have done something and all that. And then you can kind of see 365 days. And as you can see, I had a big pump, but I've been pretty consistent, but I've been slacking a little. So, I need to step that up. But that's the beauty of LinkedIn. Once you're active on a long time, you have a strong network and you don't need to be as active, and you can choose to spend less time. I'm just busy with doing a lot of things, so that's kind of tough. Headline, a featured section. This is how a featured section looks like. For me, I write resumes and all that. Um, I my featured section has my podcast, has a client post who used me, has this. He applied to, some other things. Uh, that's a newsletter, podcast, a live stream that, is pretty helpful. And then you can link to a post that someone else made. Um, my friend, he made a post about me. He used to work at LinkedIn. Um, so yeah, that's the beauty of like that feature section. You can really use it for the ideal person so they can really learn about you. You can link to a portfolio and all that. The other thing is you want to make sure your work experience really shows and it's highlighted, because so many profiles are way too empty. If your profile is empty, people, they may not get the info and they're not getting the highlights that they're looking to get. Now, the other thing is getting a new job, right? So it's like, how do you create content that makes you look good to your employer and prospective one? Because you want to make sure that while you're employed, that you're not giving away that you're looking for your new job. So you have to do it. You have to tiptoe and walk a fine line, right? So it's like, how do you maintain it? And that's why it's important to make sure that you're active on LinkedIn all the time, so that people are not alerted, right? Oftentimes people know, hey, this person's being more active on LinkedIn. They're looking for a job. The other benefit of LinkedIn is you find jobs in the hidden market. One of the jobs that I got was not even posted. I got it um, like that. And I've seen of other people getting it, that you're getting these opportunities because you're talking to the right people. And before it's public, they choose you. The other benefit is I want you to make sure that you talk to connections at these companies because sometimes you'll learn a lot about salary. I've gotten a lot of inside salary info from people at the company. Yes, you'll find good information online, but you get so much better information when you talk to actual people who work at that. In addition, some bonuses is like you LinkedIn is very good for business. How do you use it for business? Like, how do you get started on a side hustle? Right? I originally never wanted to be a resume writer, but it was something I networked with someone who taught me the ins and out, and then I started doing it. And now it's like I have people doing outreach on a regular basis for that. And then I've seen people do other things like graphic design, marketing, consulting, strategy stuff. And the beauty is you can use LinkedIn to set yourself apart from your competitors. I'm not a cheap resume writer at all, and I charge a decent amount more, but I'm able to because of the reputation I built. Just some older stats, like my stats were a lot better before, but you see, it's like you can get a lot of profile views, a lot of post impressions, and all that, and you see, it's you'd be surprised at where it leads to. So, Albert and I'm working on Albert on a course. Albert, what do you want to say?
Yeah, so I wanted to get to the end here, and I know some of you are still remaining.
Yeah.
And so, Jonayad and I, because he's been so good at LinkedIn and because, I'm here to serve job seekers, we're putting together a 4 week to success LinkedIn bootcamp starting next week, where you can get one-on-one training or at least group training with Jonayad and I to take your LinkedIn skills to the next level, build your business and career, and also get accountability along the way as you build your brand. And so this is 4 weekly sessions plus office hours plus a LinkedIn chat group. And if you want, Jonayad will go ahead and like and comment on every single post you make. And so for those of you who are in the webinar today, we're throwing you a 25% discount. That's in the link here on the Eventbrite. And so the code is already hard coded in there, and we'll be following up with this link at the end as well if you're not able to click it.
Yeah, why not?
Um, yeah. And so Anastasia, your question on how to look for clients or business, that's exactly what we're going to be doing in this boot camp so that we can optimize your LinkedIn profile to get there.
And also the other thing is I don't want you my goal is for you not to get the cheapest clients. My goal is for you to get premium clients who realize the value that you bring and they have no issue paying a premium. I don't want you racing to the bottom and offering the lowest prices. I find that's the way that you're working all the time and you're just not happy and you tend to get really burnt out.
Yep. Cool. What's on the next slide?
Let's see what's on the next slide. So we're coming up with a digital course soon. So if anybody, they want something uh a little more budget friendly, they want something a little more self-paced, we're gonna turn it into a course where I kind of share a lot of things and we'll give some insights and again, someone who doesn't need as much hand-holding. So we're gonna come with that. And then here's the syllabus. So week 1, LinkedIn recruiter and profile optimization. Week 2 is LinkedIn job search strategy and resume optimization. Week 3 is networking authentically and building lasting relationships. And 4 is creating content and increasing visibility. And the reason I chose this, so this boot camp will be a mixed, it'll mostly focus on job searching, but we will also talk about getting clients because once you have an optimized profile, you can use it to get clients. And the beauty is that you can do both at the same time. And there's ways to have your profile speak to both. Um, but again, it's one of those that we would have to sit down with you and kind of tell you, okay, it depends what type of clients you're getting, what type of jobs you're looking for, and then we have to find a way to organically blend it in. Yeah, Albert, what do you want to add?
Yeah, no, that's pretty correct there. So, link is above in the webinar chat, and if anybody else has any additional questions, Jonah and I will stay for a little bit as well.
Yeah, more than happy
Yeah.
to stay. And appreciate everyone who kind of sat in and just listened to me talk. Hope you got a lot of value. And Jeff raised his hand.
If you raise your hand, feel free to just type in the webinar chat or the Q&A instead, since that'll be where most of it is. And by the way, for these LinkedIn courses, um, there are courses online, and if you even have Jonaya teaching you one-on-one, it generally is probably at least 5 to 10 times more than what you get in a group setting. So
And you know what? A lot of those courses are not made by people
No.
who are like like you know it's funny. I read a book on how to do LinkedIn years ago in like 2019, and I surpassed the person who wrote the book. So it's like it's pretty interesting. And then sometimes they're not teaching authentic strategy. There are ways to grow on LinkedIn. Like I know how to grow really quick, really fast with but sort of cheating, and that's not what I'm not here. I'm here to teach an organic thing that works, that doesn't get you banned. And appreciate, I think Jeff raised his hand, so really appreciate you doing that. Um so now someone asked, Carrie asked a great question. Is there a danger on being active in other more specialized online for field, but not being active on LinkedIn? Is the risk reduced by at least having, so is it would I say it's a danger? No, what I would say is it's a missed opportunity, because even when I network on Twitter, when I first started, people always look at the LinkedIn, and having a good profile, people like, oh wow. And I got into other things. My LinkedIn presence got me into conversations in other areas. So it's like you could do that, and I always say try to do a holistic thing that builds on that adds to your holistic strategy. Because at the end of the day, LinkedIn is what's going to pop higher on Google. Most people have LinkedIn profiles and they're going to search for it. So it just opens a lot of things up. And you're welcome, Nabi. I really appreciate that you found this helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So, just so you know, right, for this course, again, it's working in a group setting, accountability, and you have a good LinkedIn profile by the time we hit July 4th. So, jokingly, you can show everybody your new LinkedIn profile at your July 4th barbecue, which is never
Yeah,
a bad idea.
yeah.
So
And
we'll have that discount up for all of you who are here in the webinar. And so we'll follow up with that when that's over. And I look forward to seeing some of you there because I really want to see you guys have a better LinkedIn profile, which directly impacts your job search.
and someone said, "Are you going to have another lunch later?" I think, yeah, that's something we're always open to in the future.
Yeah,
And
I'll have Joniad back quarterly. And he'll be back next time with a digital course as well, so you can take it on your own time and to be successful that way. Steve, the discount will expire. I'm just gonna have the discount go through June 6th. I'm feeling generous for this one because I want you all to experience what Joniad has to offer. So, look for all my follow-up emails and you'll hear from me.
yeah, um, Maheen Canoes. As much as I would love to, these questions are complex to answer, because it's like oftentimes I try not to give generic advice, because branding your profile, it depends on your skill sets, it depends your goals, what type of opportunities you're trying to get, how do you have a gap in finding those opportunities? Is there a way to cover the gap? So, uh, yeah, that's a hard question to answer right off the bat. I would need to learn a lot more about you before I can give you a competent answer. But be active.
Yeah. All right. If there are no other questions, I want to thank you all for watching. We will be sending you the recording as well as the final presentation, which will be available on SlideShare. And we'll be sending you messages throughout the week leading up to the start of our boot camp. We look forward to having some of you join us, and we'll see you all soon. Have a great rest of your Thursday and a wonderful Friday into your weekend.
Thanks
And
for
yeah, we will email the link. We'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye.